Alright guys, welcome to your second Ruby tutorial, and before I start showing you guys the Ruby code, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about computer programs in general. So just remember that computers can't understand English. Computers can only understand simple instructions. Now in Ruby programming, we call these instructions commands. So basically whenever we write a Ruby program, it's going to be made up of a bunch of little commands, and each command is going to be on a separate line. So just remember that. We can tell the computer what to do by writing a bunch of little commands or instructions, and whenever we put a bunch of these commands together, we turn it into basically a computer program. That's all a computer program is. A bunch of little commands pretty much put together. Simple enough. So let me go ahead and show you guys a very simple command. We already looked at one in the last tutorial, which was like 7 plus 4 or something like that. But let me show you guys a command just so I can talk you guys through it. So I know you guys don't know what any of this stuff means yet, but let me just go ahead and type something real quick. Bacon, just like that, and end. So basically what I wrote is this: 7 times do print bacon end. Okay, sounds kind of weird. Well, this is a sample, or an example rather, of a very simple Ruby command. Even though we can't understand it, it's a command that Ruby can understand. Oh, excuse me, got some phlegm in my throat. So basically, our language is different than Ruby's language, and it's my job, I guess, to teach you Ruby's language. So another thing that I want to point out before we continue along is let's take a look at the interactive Ruby environment. This IRB just stands for Interactive Ruby, and it's basically just the program. Don't mind this main for right now. I'll talk about that later on. Now the 001 is just the line number. The very first command we write is going to be 001. The next one is going to be on line 002. If we were to write something else, such as, I know you guys don't know this command either, but like this one, it would be on 002, the next one would be on 003, so on and so forth. Now after this, you see an additional number, which is 000. This number is the depth, and I'm going to talk about the depth later on when we begin talking about classes and stuff like that. But for now on, just concentrate on the line number 1, 2, 3. Each command you write is on a separate line. Now, while I'm talking about the interactive Ruby environment, I guess I might as well mention this because I know a lot of you guys are like, wow, this is pretty much the most boring looking program ever. If you want to change the colors of this text, then go ahead and right click it and choose properties. And if you go to font, you can go ahead and change the size of it. Colors, you can go ahead and change the text color. And I'll probably change these from tutorial to tutorial depending on whatever mood I'm feeling, but you can go ahead and change all the colors here. So now with that being said, like I said, my job is to teach you the basic commands. Basically, I want to teach you the language that Ruby understands. Now, probably the most basic command and the easiest to understand is just a print statement. Go ahead and write print. Now, in between double quotation marks, go ahead and write anything like hello, people of YouTube. Now go ahead and hit the enter button, and whenever you hit enter, it basically takes what's ever in between those quotation marks and it prints it out on the screen. In this case, hello people of YouTube. Now what nil means is you say, okay, it printed that out, good job Ruby, but it also has this little equals and arrow sign and it has nil. What the heck is this? Well, don't worry about the equals arrows right now. I'll be talking about that later on. But nil, I'll explain this. Nil pretty much means nothing. Nil, N-I-L, equals nothing. So why does it say, hello people of YouTube, nothing? That doesn't make sense either. Basically, it says nil because you have nothing or no errors. You didn't mess up at all. Pretty much all your code was typed perfectly like Ruby expected. If you do type a command or something that Ruby doesn't understand, for example, just go ahead and slam your fingers across the keyboard and type something random. Now, if you hit enter, Ruby's not going to understand this command. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense to us. So go ahead and hit enter, and we see that we get an error message. Name error, undefined local variable. So that's the difference between a successful command and an error. Whenever you have a successful command, for example, this print command is just going to go ahead and run that command and return nil. And whenever you have an error or something it doesn't understand, an error typically looks like this. It says what type of error it is, and then it gives you some information about it. So basically, that's the difference between a successful command, a very simple basic command, and an error. So I just want to tell you guys that, give you guys a little history of computer programs, what they're made up of. Basically, I showed you guys a simple print statement, such as print hello people of YouTube. That's a very basic command, but there are a ton of other commands that we need to know for the Ruby programming language. And again, if you ever have an error, you're going to see something like this right here. So anyways, in the next tutorial, I'm going to be talking about how to do some simple math with Ruby, as well as teaching you guys about something called variables, and it's going to be amazingly exciting. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.